So how's everybody doing? Come on, guys. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Can I get a little bit more enthusiasm? Come on.
Yay!
You know, it's funny. I was talking with the dean about doing a talk on critical thinking, and after I told him or asked him where we decided to do it, I started getting scared because I was just like, what was I thinking? I'm in a room full of educators that talk about critical thinking all the time. And so what I wanted to do is, it says it's on. Oh, you know, those computer people, they really don't know what they're doing. There's an AV mute button on the thing, and I pushed it. But I'm going to need you guys help, okay? I promise you that I'll have you out in at least, within 30, 45 minutes, okay? It'll be short. It'll be short. All right. No, for you, 5, okay? But I'm going to need your help. Could you guys give me some help?
Yes.
A little bit of energy, a little bit of participation.
Woo, woo, woo!
Thank you. Man, you are harder than... So anyway, talking about critical thinking, and this is a computer scientist point of view. And I want to just give you a little bit of background about me quickly. I've been teaching at Strayer for over 7 years, and in that time I've taught computer science and math, and it's been really an interesting journey because I learned a lot about the Strayer students and about teaching and about a lot of other things. From a technical point of view, I've got a bachelor's master's degree from MIT in electrical engineering and a master's and a PhD in computer science from Carnegie Mellon. So I understand technically what's going on, but I've also got real world experience. I've developed mobile apps, I've developed websites, I've developed e-commerce websites, so I understand a little bit about what the business world needs as well as the education of our Strayer students. And so I say all that to say that hopefully it gives me a little bit of credibility in talking about what I'm about to talk about. And it's actually a collaborative conversation. Because one of the things I want to talk about is I think that every class that you teach can be a class in critical thinking. I teach math and computer science, but that's not what I tell the students. I teach math, I teach statistics and quantitative methods, and I also teach, mathematics for the beginning mathematics, 09, and I've taught 09, and I'm teaching 104. And the students come in and they think it's a math class or a business class or something like that, and it's like, no, this is a class in problem solving. This is a class in thinking. This is, I don't care if you get the right answer. I'm much more concerned with how you go about thinking about it, because that's what's going to bake the day. Whether you get the right answer or not, you can get your answers checked by somebody else. But I guarantee you that you're not going to get the same problem in real life that you're getting in the textbook. So I want you to think about it and understand how to think about it. So, what do I do and what do I look for in terms of establishing that? Well, I have 4 things that I try to do the first day, and then 1 that I do during class. And so what I want to do with you guys is explore that, talk about it, and come up with ideas and conversation, things like that. But here are the 4 things. The first thing is I want to establish the class is relevant to each student. That's not a relevant general relevancy. That's a relevancy to each and every person that's in the class. Because if they're not engaged in the class as it relates to them, then game over. The second thing I want to do is establish the importance of being in the classroom. And it's really interesting to me when I start to talk with students about that and the way that I talk to them about it, they're like, at the end of the conversation, they're like, of course I need to be there. And then the third thing is I want to establish the critical thinking as what employers are looking for. It's not like, did I get the right answer? There's no employer that's going to say, what did you get on this test? Did you get the right answer on it? You're going to want to know, how do you think? How do you problem solve? And then the last thing I want to do is establish this particular class that I'm teaching them there as a critical thinking class. It's not a get the right answer and let's go home. It's a let's think about how to solve problems here. Let's go through and gather some skills on problem solving. And then the last thing is that during the classes, just require the students to constantly use critical thinking. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, you got the right answer, or you got the wrong answer. How'd you get there? What was the process? So, having said that, let's talk about the first one. Establishing the class as relevant to each student. How do we go about doing that? Here's the time in which you get to talk. And I know, personally, a lot of you guys, and I know you're not shy about talking, so don't even not say anything. Yes?
Well, one of the things, a lot of students, one thing that seems to be particularly problematic for students is they always think that English is two extremes. They either think it's going to be super easy, or they just don't like to read and write, period.
Okay.
So one of the things that I always express to the students is that the idea that it is particularly important in every facet of life, because what English does is it teaches the basic skills that are necessary to think. Like, for example, when I have students read, I always make students be actively engaged in the reading process. Make sure that they take notes as they read. I teach them about annotating text, looking up additional information to help them understand the material that they're reading. And in doing so, it teaches them how to become active researchers in everything they do. For example, how that translates into a job is that before they go to an interview, they start to think about, I need to know something about this company. I need to think about what are primarily or categorically research questions that people will ask.
Okay.
Let me practice on these questions. Let me look for answers, or let me think of ways to not only let this employer know that I'm a standout, but also let this employer know that there are things that I can add to this company.
Okay. So you keep the student actively engaged. Yes?
I do critical thinking, and I open every class with a discussion of my quote that I created. It says, critical thinking is an essential life skill, one which requires an active participation in the reading, writing, learning, and living experience. And so what we do is go through and talk about what each one of those things mean and why it's relevant. And then for me, teaching composition, students have a tendency to forget what they learned one semester when they go to the next semester. So making it relevant in terms of there's a reason why you have to take this your first semester and why you shouldn't forget it.
Gotcha.
Your second semester.
Yeah. So start the class off with critical thinking. The English side is winning. Come on, guys. Yes. Computer science guy. Yes. I just had to underline it.
How does this class relate to your employment goals?
Exactly.
Okay. So ask them. How does it relate to your employment goals? Nice.
You had a statement in front, hand in front.
Yes.
Well, I start off by, I take you to that, but I start off asking them why do you have to take this course?
Why?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then whatever their answer is, we try to connect the dots to the next course they have to take, the job, if they have one or the one they want to have, and then we take it beyond job into career.
Okay.
Help them to connect the dots.
So ask them why. Yes. Lewis. Okay.
I heard it.
Just.
How it relates to current market situation or conditions.
So current market, how it relates to current market. So.
For example, the mortgage market, the housing turmoil, and so forth.
Got it. Yes.
Well, I want to do two. I want to do the English first since we've had two. But when I came to your class to one time, you had students, I think, pull out gadgets. That's what I call them, electronic gadgets. And you said, well, how does that affect your life today? That's relevant. When they were talking about things that they'll use or want to use, then you were saying, someone said, I've never seen that before, so that's started the conversation. That's making things relevant to the student right there. Now, in terms of, that's your CIS class, I mean,
Yeah.
which was great.
Thank you.
I'm lying, no, I'm not.
See, I had to check already.
Now, in terms of English, in English 115, I don't know who's doing that this quarter. It starts off the chapter talking about, I don't care what you write, it's going to fall in one of life's 4 categories. And then when you're given those 4 areas, and then say, when the last time you wrote a letter to your community leader? or that's civic. When did you write a letter to your grandma? That's personal. So it makes it relevant.
Got it. Great. All those are great things. One, yes, Robert.
Since she brought it up, I was going to bring it up a little bit later on, but I really need your opinion since your background is CIS. What do you think in terms of these gadgets and how they affect the students? Because I find it in accounting that it affects them. They don't think, the critical thinking thing don't kick in because of the immediacy of the going to the gadget.
Okay.
And I see it as a disadvantage more than an advantage a lot of times in my class.
Let me talk about that in a little bit later, but remind me to talk about that because I do want to talk about that. One of the things I want to just say about this too is that what I do in my very first class is I go around to every single student and I have an attendance. So as they answer, I check it off and I say, why are you taking this class and what do you want to get out of it? And I have them tell me something that's personal to them. So a student might say, first I say, how many people want an A? Everybody raise their hand. How many people is this a required class? Everybody raise their hand. I say, okay, you can't use that. And then I say, well, what is it about this class that will affect you in the next week or two? And they might say, well, you know, I really think that technology is great and it's something that will help me in the rest of my life. And I ask them, how? How will learning technology help you during the rest of your life? And I get them to go down into something personal, and I tell them while I'm talking to them and saying, look, if this class isn't relevant to you, then why take it? You're now adults. And all this that you're learning is to help you in your life today, tomorrow, or next week, not 2-3 years from now. Okay.